The story revolves around the protagonist, Lai Chang Kong, who sits in front of a computer and watches a video clip of himself. In the clip, which lasts about 5 minutes, Chang Kong is dressed as a big bear and approaches his love interest, Suzia. As Chang Kong gets closer to Suzia, a crowd gathers to watch. Chang Kong takes off the bear head, resulting in a moment of silence. He asks Suzia for a chance to be his girlfriend, and the crowd starts voicing their support for him. However, Suzia, who appears to be a conservative girl, shouts at Chang Kong, stating that they barely know each other for a week and that his confession is premature. She calls it useless trash and reminds him of his habit of eating exotic meats and being a social outcast. Amidst the commotion, a girl named Lanzio, a friend of Chang Kong, intervenes and demands that they stop recording and close the camera. Lanzio is deeply concerned about Chang Kong. After watching the clip, Chang Kong reads a caption that describes him as a low-end player confessing to a beautiful goddess, but suggests that he should accept rejection and move on to find love again. Disgusted by this, Chang Kong expresses his frustration and questions why Suzia would treat him that way when he's just a little peculiar. He is disappointed that he fell into her trap within a week, despite his flaws and unappealing qualities. Feeling distressed, Chang Kong seeks solace in binge eating, consuming burgers, soda cans, and snacks in desperation. His phone rings, and Lanzio invites him to her birthday party, urging him to attend after not showing up for the past 10 years. Lanzio playfully remarks that Chang Kong's wings have hardened, implying that he has become more independent. She explains the party details, held at Supreme KTV 888 box, and asks him to hurry over. However, Chang Kong, in a melancholic state, has been crying for hours and abruptly ends the call upon hearing Lanzio's invitation. One of Lanzio's friends, who has feelings for her, consoles her after the call is cut off, suggesting that even if Chang Kong shows up, he will only bring disappointment. Despite this, the friend showcases all the preparations made for the party. While everyone enjoys the celebration, Lanzio remains worried about Chang Kong. She sends him a text message, assuring him that other people's opinions don't matter and that he will always be her best friend, regardless of what others say. Chang Kong reads the message and apologizes to Lanzio inwardly, believing that he is ignorant and worthless, unworthy of the friendship of a caring girl like Lanzio. He repeatedly reads the message and berates himself, feeling unworthy for Lanzio. He shouts Lanzio's name repeatedly while eating snacks, feeling increasingly anxious. Suddenly, he feels a pain in his chest, collapses on the floor, and believes he is taking his final breaths. Chang Kong regrets not doing anything good in his life and blames himself for eating himself to death. As he loses consciousness, he feels like he's entering a different dimension, with a countdown starting from 5. Memories flash through his mind, including a time when Suzia made the whole class laugh at him and his mother's warning about their family's obesity disorder and his father's kidney cancer. In his unconscious state, Chang Kong falls into a constellation of light and hears a voice announcing the activation of the fat exchange system. When Chang Kong wakes up, he finds himself back in the same room where he supposedly died, everything unchanged. Confused, he questions whether he is still alive. He notices his hands covered in a sticky substance and wonders what happened. As he turns on the light, he sees a reflection of himself in the mirror, but to his surprise, he appears young, handsome, slim, and smart. Chang Kong is amazed by his transformation and struggles to believe it. He pinches himself to check if it's a dream, only to realize that he is indeed skinny now. A robotic voice named Nicholas Angela Gourmet introduces itself as Chang Kong's smart sensor hub and explains that he has been chosen as the Son of Heaven for a program called the Fat Exchange System. Nicholas informs Chang Kong that he can use his accumulated fat points to obtain skills and abilities. Excited, Chang Kong asks if he now possesses immense physical strength, but Nicholas clarifies that his current level is too low to access all the powers at once. Chang Kong's phone interrupts their conversation, and he receives a distressed call from Lanzio, asking for help. Lanzio's friend berates her for spending time with Chang Kong and refuses to let her leave. In a display of newfound confidence, Chang Kong arrives at Lanzio's location and confronts her friend. He demands that the friend release Lanzio, which leads to a brief confrontation. Chang Kong realizes he has access to a skill called King of Contempt, which allows him to mentally shock his opponent. Holding his head and wincing in pain, Chang Kong feels a sense of pride and satisfaction that his skill worked. He believes he has become invincible and that nobody can provoke him.
However, he soon realizes that the skill he used has a 5% chance of making his opponent even more violent. He witnesses his opponent going into a state of madness and losing control. Chen Kong becomes terrified as his opponent approaches him, expressing anger and threatening him. Chen Kong realizes he has been cheated by the skill and desperately asks the system for help, but he doesn't have enough points to switch to another skill.
Feeling betrayed by his supposed friend Lanzio, who runs away instead of assisting him, Chen Kong is hurt and calls her disloyal. However, he also finds her actions cute, realizing that she doesn't recognize him. Helpless and accepting his fate, Chen Kong endures a brutal beating from his opponent. Injured and in pain, Chen Kong understands that he must find a way to fight back or his life will be in danger. As his opponent approaches with a wine bottle, Chen Kong quickly scans his surroundings for any potential aid. He spots some cake on the floor and comes up with an idea to save himself.
Despite the laughter and mockery from onlookers, Chen Kong continues to eat the cake with joy, knowing that he needs more points to acquire a new skill. The people taunt him, calling him mentally impaired and provoking him. However, Chen Kong remains focused on accumulating points. Eventually, he reaches the required number of points, and he requests the system to redeem them for a skill. Just as Chen Kong's opponent is about to strike him, Chen Kong gains a new skill called Spiritual Resonance. This skill causes his opponent to halt mid-attack, feeling heavy-hearted and confused. Chen Kong raises his head slightly, curious about what just happened. His opponent drops the bottle and confesses that he feels as if he's experiencing first love, shedding tears. The others present are bewildered by the sudden change in the situation. Chen Kong's opponent asks who inflicted such damage upon him, and Chen Kong mentally acknowledges that it was his opponent himself.
Chen Kong's opponent embraces him, kisses his forehead, and promises to protect him from now on. Chen Kong is perplexed by the sudden affection but assures his opponent that he is not his type. This devastates his opponent, who wonders how he can love someone with a broken heart. In an unexpected turn of events, Chen Kong's opponent undresses and jumps onto their friends, expressing his desire to compensate for the pain of his first kiss. Chen Kong, unable to intervene, hears cries for help but can do nothing. Meanwhile, Lanzio, who initially ran away, returns with officers after hearing the commotion. However, she is taken aback by the scene before her, and the officers become emotional. Chen Kong, sitting outside near a fountain, observes his reflection in the water and feels proud that he managed to save his loved ones, albeit through unconventional means. The system playfully remarks that he almost killed himself in the process. Chen Kong stands up and vows to always support Lanzio, determined to become a better person. However, he still questions whether the plug-in he possesses is a blessing or a curse. As he contemplates this, his phone rings, interrupting his thoughts. He realizes it's Wei calling, reminding him that it's payday. Although weak and unsure about his condition, Chen Kong gets dressed and prepares to receive his payment. He contemplates his recent experiences and wonders if his vulnerability is due to illness or something more dangerous, taking a moment to collect himself before proceeding further. The protagonist had eaten excessively the previous night and was required to eat again within 12 hours to meet certain criteria. Failing to do so would result in being eliminated by an algorithm. In a state of shock, the protagonist sits down and realizes that without gaining strength quickly, they won't live another day. Overcome by hunger, the protagonist heads to the kitchen, unaware of the information provided by the system. Despite the system's reminders, the protagonist decides not to consume the available food. After some time, the protagonist goes to a store but finds their clothes missing. Perplexed, they hear a woman reprimanding someone named Wang Lei in the corridor. Curiosity piques, and the protagonist tries to peek through the door crack but is surprised to see Wang Lei being humiliated and their employment terminated. Wang Lei inquires about their salary, but the woman mocks and belittles them. Frustrated, the protagonist clenches a bottle of mayonnaise and throws it at the woman, causing chaos. Feeling overwhelmed, the protagonist tries to apologize and calm the situation. The woman's attitude changes upon recognizing the protagonist, and she starts behaving more softly towards them. The protagonist feels a sense of disappointment as they realize they've lost weight. The woman engages in conversation with the protagonist, who tries to deflect the attention and focus on getting a drink. They notice Wang Lei's distress and discover he doesn't have money for food. Determined to help, the protagonist assures Wang Lei that they'll take care of him.
The protagonist recalls a poster offering free food for consuming 48 bottles of beer and decides to try it. They consume the beer rapidly, surprising the woman. After finishing their meals, they are reminded to pay. But the protagonist explains that the poster outside says if a single customer consumes 48 bottles then everything will be free, that's why he consumes 50. And the woman gets angry by being fooled by them. Conflict ensues, but eventually, they reconcile.
In a convenience store, the protagonist and Wang Lei discuss their financial struggles and the upcoming school fees. The protagonist reveals that their parents have provided some money for tuition. Wang Lei worries about the protagonist's insatiable hunger and becomes annoyed. The following day, the protagonist faces a financial challenge while paying the school fees, but they are granted a few extra days to find the money. Despite the protagonist's relief, they realize the remaining balance is barely enough. Determined to gather the necessary funds, they inquire about the submission deadline. With 3 days to find the money, the protagonist feels a mix of relief and anxiety as they leave the room, aware the time is running out. Frustrated, he blames the system for putting him in this predicament and depriving him of his hard-earned money. Uncertain about what to do next, he considers reaching out to his father for help, but realizes his father is unavailable due to overseas treatment. Feeling defeated, he abandons the idea and decides to find a solution on his own within a short time frame. Meanwhile, 3 popular girls from his school notice him standing outside a room, lost in contemplation. Intrigued by his presence, they approach him, captivated by his appearance, sense of style, and overall attractiveness. Since they have never encountered him before, their curiosity grows, and they whisper among themselves, speculating about his identity and background. Eventually, they assign their friend Suzuya the task of initiating a conversation with him. Suzuya accepts the challenge, despite her uncertainty about winning his affection within the given time limit. Encouraged by her friends, she walks closer to him, catching his attention. However, his mind is consumed by their past difficult experiences together, particularly a humiliating rejection of his proposal in front of their classmates and professors. As Suzuya moves closer to him, hoping he will catch her as she pretends to trip, she is surprised to find him unmoved, not even flinching. In her astonishment, she accidentally hits her head against his chest but maintains composure, looking at him with compassion while deciding whether to approach further. She notices his rapidly beating heart, leading her to believe she has successfully captivated him. However, when she looks up, she sees him glaring maliciously in her direction, leaving her puzzled about his intentions. In a sudden turn of events, Wang Lai, another person involved, calls Akong and invites him to meet at a local internet cafe. Suzuya is taken aback when she hears Akong's name mentioned. Akong abandons his position and follows Wang Lai, causing Suzuya to stumble and fall, resulting in a chaotic incident. Suzuya's friends are bewildered by what they have witnessed and repeatedly call out Akong's name, confirming his identity. They surround him, showing respect and admiration, while Suzuya remains alone on the ground, feeling humiliated. Recognizing Akong as a well-known internet celebrity, others admire his remarkable transformation in appearance, further mocking Suzuya by labeling her as the campus joke, a title she doesn't deserve. Overwhelmed by the disgraceful situation, Suzuya becomes furious, swearing to exact revenge on Akong for insulting her. Later, Akong and Wang Lai are dining together, with Wang Lai boasting about his heroic rescue of Akong from the awkward situation. However, Akong is more focused on his food, irritating Wang Lai. In that moment, Akong expresses gratitude for Wang Lai's help but also brings up the cost of his education. This prompts Akong to share his aspiration to become a streamer and shows Wang Lai an advertisement related to it. Wang Lai, however, doubts this idea, believing he can perform better in that field than Akong. He asks the system to confirm his capabilities but is reminded that he has limited time before his energy runs out. This reminder serves as a turning point, signaling the beginning of the protagonist's determined efforts to succeed.